I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for being here. This is the Gary Sanitary District Board meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. Will everyone please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next we'll move on to roll call to establish a quorum.
Commissioner William Allen,
Present?
Commissioner Ola Morris,
Present.
Commissioner Maurice Mabon,
Present.
Commissioner Darnell Lyles, Commissioner William Cook,
Present.
Attorney Jewel Harris Jr.,
Present.
Interim Executive Director Brenda Scott Henry,
Present.
Finance Manager Jerome Foster.
Present.
And that's the end of roll call.
With all present, we have a quorum. Next we'll move on to certification pursuant to Indiana law, section 5-14-1.5-6.1. I certify that prior to the start of today's meeting, there was an executive session held. There was nothing discussed in the session that was not indicated on the posted notice for the session. That being said, in compliance with Indiana statutes, there were no final votes held during the session. Does any member dissent? Hearing none, we'll move on to minutes. What is the pleasure of the minutes?
Mr. President, I make a motion for acceptance of the regular meeting minutes of August 19, 1924.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second it, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any questions on the motion or discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles,
Yes.
Commissioner Mabon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
With 5 ayes and 0 noes, the minutes have been approved for August 19, 2024. Moving on to new business, we have 2.1. Mr. Foster?
Thank you. Making a motion to approve and ratify GSD payroll earnings for period ending July 18th, 2024 through August 11th, 2024 in the amount of $258,914.40.
After hearing the overview and recommendation for 2.1 for payroll, what is the pleasure of the board?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call for 2.1?
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles. Yes. Commissioner Mabon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
With 5 ayes and 0 noes, payroll has been approved. Moving on to 2.2.
2.2 is a motion to approve an award of bid to Met Sewer Plumbing and Pumping, LLC, for the sanitary sewer repair at the vicinity of 2200 Chase Street in an amount not to exceed $43,980. I'll ask Kola Awasaka, our engineer, to come up and give an overview, please.
It is a combined sewer that is already disintegrated and deteriorated and collapsed. So we just need to fix it because, our sewer system in the city is already old, and the only way we go about rehabbing is just fixing cave-ins. Spending the time, we'll be able to have enough money to start doing proactive renovation on our system. So anyway, this is one of the areas where we have a sinkhole caused by a collapsed pipe, so which needs to be fixed.
Cole, are you sure this sinkhole has nothing to do with the work that's being done on 27th and Chase? Because I know that. No, go ahead.
It's the alley over, so it's not.
Okay, it's not? Okay. And I have another question. Met's Sewer, my understanding is that Mets has been acquired?
I think Max was, the old man sold the company out,
Okay, so who purchased the company?
another outfit.
It's not LGS?
My understanding is that maybe the brother of the sibling, one sibling is running one, the other one is running the other one. I
So it's
don't
the
know.
same- It's the same family?
I've not really,
I think it's the brother of LGS bought Mets, and he's using the name. Actually, the name's a little slightly different.
Okay.
So LGS is one of the relatives of them bought Mets.
Do we need documentation for that in the bidding process?
No, I mean, they're independent of each other.
Yeah, but Mets was a Gary-based company, correct? Now, is this company still Gary-based?
Now, that,
There's Gary Bates.
I think the business is in Gary, most likely it's
It's kind of hard
Gary,
to figure out.
Gary
if
based.
Brother bought it.
yeah, I mean, if they took over, let's say, Mets' physical plant in Gary, I think we'd have to consider them Gary business.
Okay. If they're there,
Right, right.
do we go out and inspect? Probably not.
We can certainly do that and report back to the board.
Beg your pardon?
We will do that and report back to you, to the
Okay.
board.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And one last thing, is this an emergency?
It is not an emergency, that is why we're bringing it to the board. If it is an emergency, we will have done it.
Any more questions? Okay, hearing none, after hearing the overview and recommendation for 2.2, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move for passage.
A second.
Motion's been made and properly second for 2.2. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles,
Yes.
Commissioner Maybon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
With 5 ayes and 0 noes, 2.2 has been approved. Moving on to 2.3.
2.3 is a motion to approve an award of bid and sole source purchase with Fairfield Services Company of Indiana, LLC, for the purchase of an additional parts, which is scrappers and chains, for the primary clarifier number 10 in an amount not to exceed $41,644.40. Can we have an overview, Cola, please?
Currently, we're working on the tank. Primary tank number 10 is a primary clarifier. And we're trying to bring it back online. It's been offline for quite some time now. And this is the critical part that we need to get the job completed.
Is this part of the non-compliance?
It's, yes, one of the non-compliance.
All right.
Okay, after hearing the overview and recommendation for 2.3, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move for passage.
Second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been made and properly second for 2.3. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles,
Yes.
Commissioner Maybon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
With 5 ayes and 0 noes, 2.3 has been approved. Next brings us to claims, 3.1. Mr. Foster?
Thank you. I make a motion to approve and ratify GSD claim numbers 2145 through 2239 in the amount of $429,951.19.
After hearing the recommendation for 3.1, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move for passage.
Is there a second?
There's a second.
A motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles,
Yes.
Commissioner Maybon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
For 5 ayes and 0 noes, claims have been approved. Next on the agenda, we have information updates. We have plan operations.
This is the final that we gave to the council. Can you send it to me in electronic form?
I think the board knows that GSD is under consent decree. And we've been meeting with DOJ, Department of Justice, and the regulators, EPA and IDEM, on a regular basis. We met, the city and GSD had a meeting with the DOJ and then the regulators end of last month, August, and regarding the long-term control plan. And then actually they want us to minimize CSO, to reduce the CSO discharges to like 6 occurrences in 1 year. And they're aggressively pushing us to meet that threshold. Last, I think August 28, we received a letter from DOJ, and they're trying to actually have GSD committed to improving or upgrade the plant from 120 MGD to 180 MGD. This looks like a big hurdle for us to jump.
How much effort does that take, Cola, to go from that, to get to 180?
Yes, we had a meeting last week, and they want us to put something together as to what problems we probably will be encountering to meet the threshold, if it's something that is doable or not. The way I look at it, it's going to cost us a lot of money. I don't know, we're talking about maybe close to maybe $200 million to be able to do this upgrade. But we're still working on it. The engineer that we're having for our long-term control plan, prepare the long-term control plan for the DOJ. We're having a meeting possibly next week to sit down and see how we can put all this in together and see the feasibility of the upgrade, if it's possible to move from 120 to 180 or not. Personally, it's looking like, to me, something like, yes, sir.
Why do we have to go, you said from 130 to
120.
120 to 180, you said?
Yes.
Is that based on population size? I mean, what's the justification for them telling us we have to do that?
You know, the city and GSD we have been working with the Department of Justice for almost 3 decades now. And what's transpired between those periods, I do not know. But when I came to this position, it's like they're already at the point that they want us to upgrade to 180 MGD. What the basis for that, I don't know, but they are thinking that if we're able to process 180 MGD with water, maybe that will kind of meet the threshold of minimum of 6 CSOs per year. I think that is the threshold. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if Brenda wants to.
Can I interject
Wait,
there? So one of the things that
we had a discussion with IDEM, chimed in on this expansion project. And we understand that the sanitary district is permitted to operate at 60 MGD, first of all. But at peak flow, we do have the capacity to handle
120.
120 MGD for a period of time. Somewhere along the line, there was some analysis done that indicated that we could operate at 142 MGD at peak flow, right? And then there was also some type of,
For 1 hour.
for 1 hour. And someone else did some analysis that showed that we could potentially get to the 180 MGD. And the estimated cost that CDM Smith came up with is, with all of these list of $200 million improvement, we could potentially get to 180 MGD. Well,
And so where's
Cost
the
per-
200 million supposed to come from?
so what's important now is that IDM understands that we are permitted at operating at 60 MGD. They want, the regulators want us to look at the feasibility of really operating at that capacity. So that, we're thankful for that we may have an opportunity to,
Is that to operate at 60?
we are permitted to operate at 60 MGD. That's what our current permit says, NEPID's permit says.
So what is a 120? That's where they want us to be?
So that's
No,
like at
that's,
peak,
It's part of the
That's
permit.
peak flow.
Yeah.
And that's for 1 hour, correct?
Yes.
I thought the 142 was.
No, okay, this is how it goes. Our permit is for 60 average flow and then 120 peak flow. However, during the, I think it's modeling or whatever they did,
This is CDM Smith.
CDM Smith came up with the idea that we could push 142 MGD. We have pushed 142 MGD in the plant anyway in the past, but we cannot sustain 142 MGD because we're going to overwhelm the clarifiers. But they are of the opinion that we could conveniently push 142, and I made it very clear that we cannot. So, but they've come to the conclusion that we should make improvements or upgrade the plant to 180 MGD. We tried to talk to them about that, but that's what they want, and that's what they want us to do.
So back to my original question. Where are we supposed to get $200 million from? Did they talk about that?
They want us to source for funding,
They want us to do what?
to source for funding.
Well, it's a long-term control plan, so they,
That's what's called an unfunded mandate.
yeah, but the long-term control plan could be 20, 30 years, correct?
Yes.
Which means that you, over time, if you extrapolate out, you would expect
I
maybe.
get the same question. How much is it? How do you get the money? Even if you got to do it for 20 years.
Well,
What's money?
and you got a shrinking population too, right?
So, I mean, all that's being factored in. So along with Commonwealth Engineering doing a long-term control plan, we also have another firm, Burns and McDonald, that's going through a financial capability analysis. So they're factoring in revenues,
I don't know
grants.
why we paying them for that. We already know we can't do it.
Well, it's part of the submission for the LTCP. So,
Who's the requirement? Is this the Department of Justice?
The Department of
EPA?
Justice, EPA,
And
and
idea.
Oh, they all
we just
together.
called them regulator,
Yeah.
all three.
So, I don't want to kind of belabor this, but is Hammond at that rate and East Chicago, or are they asking them to pretty much do the same thing, or are we so different it doesn't matter?
I think we are different in the sense that as far as Department of Justice is concerned, we are discharging raw wastewater into the body of water untreated that way, and they don't want it. They just say we are already causing pollution to the rivers, and
We're not discharging.
so their main concern and focus is reduction of CSOs. And then to reduce the CSOs, they are thinking that, that's what I'm thinking, that their mindset is we have to upgrade the plant to treat more wastewater.
More efficiently and
So when you say discharge, you're
CSOs
talking
is
about
not an
high
option.
rain events, correct? When you say we're currently discharging water, untreated water.
Yeah,
So you're
discharging
speaking
of
of,
drinking water into the
okay,
river.
you're speaking of high rain events.
Actually, it's prohibited to even discharge during dry events, so we cannot even discharge at all. So this is, yeah, during rain events, yes.
Yeah, but I think Mayvon's question is, the only time we discharge untreated is when we can't handle the water coming in, or is that wrong?
Yeah, that's the way it is now, yes.
Well, if that's the case, then the consent decree is not going to ever go away. Because, I mean, with the global warming, you're having more severe storms,
That's true.
and so you're going to have more severe events. So maybe we need a marketing salesperson to talk to the DOJ and
Is it in this calculation of our wherewithal, is a service fee increase going to be contemplated in there?
It's not being talked about right now.
So the
So-
FCA, the financial capability analysis, and then we will have to do something called a cost of service study. Those two items will determine rates and affordability. And then we go back to the table, have these conversations. Once those reports are done, the FCA will be completed by October 31st. We'll review that information with the regulators, and then it will help us to make a case on how we move forward, how we're going to, a cost of service study, COSS.
And then also,
That will follow the FCA. And it's so many other factors associated with it. We're trying to give you the simplified version, but it's really complicated in terms of the projects that the regulators have identified that we move forward with, which is the
they also want
increased
those
plant expansion,
on-site
off-site storage,
off-site storage.
all types of projects. So we are, all of those have to be valued. We need to understand the cost, estimated cost associated with it. But as we move along the way, knowing that we meet with the regulators at least twice a month, sometimes 4 times a month, we'll just definitely keep you aware of the key factors, which is today is that we received this notification from the regulators, this letter indicating that they want us to move forward on an aggressive timeline where the financial capability assessment analysis should be completed by October 31st, and then we'll be completed with the long-term control by February 2025, and that would include a community engagement component.
One more question. What do we store off-site?
Yeah,
So
they-
one of the projects that they want us to, that are identified as a part of the expansion under Phase 2 is expanding the plant to 180 MGD and considering a off-site storage. Location, cost, we don't even have it, it's just a concept right now, but we have to go do so much more work in, with our engineers to come up with something that we can present to you that makes sense. So it's off-site storage.
Store
Waste.
Waste?
Waste.
Yeah, they want us to store wastewater.
Off-site.
They already identified some locations where they want the storage located at, so
Is that what do you call it, sludge, or?
it's just like, we have it like a tank where we store wastewater.
You hold it
Temporary.
through wet weather events. until
wastewater.
you're able to
Yes.
process
So
it.
you'll look up and you have 200 tanks out there, right?
It's,
So how long do you hold that stored wastewater, and what do you do with it?
yeah, for as long, just to, initial,
And you bring it back in the plant? and
yeah,
run it through?
we'll eventually bring back to the plant, yes.
So on a slow day, you just run it through and you process it and do the
Yeah.
normal stuff, okay?
So does it get stored in tanks or tanker trucks? Or, I mean, what's that?
It's gonna be, depends on the design. Design may be maybe underground tank or above ground tanks, but it's gonna be tank.
Do we need to acquire land for that? Or
Yes,
we got it?
you have to acquire land.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Next, we have construction activities.
Good afternoon, Board. Just here to provide a quick update on the ongoing construction projects. The first one being the grid improvements project. Still have not heard any updates from the Army Corps of Engineers regarding the litigation with the First Street contractors, so that's ongoing. The 27th Chase Street Pump Station Force Main Replacement Project, they are currently, I believe, installing valves to tie into the existing force main. That phase of the project should be finishing up shortly. And there's just restoration work which should be following.
He's got to buy lunch.
Only if I'm included.
Most times, that's Ms. Morris.
So bad.
The 27 Chase Street bar screen replacement project, again, the bar screens are still operating as designed, so that's great news for us. There's some minor punch list items that the contractor needs to complete, and that project should be coming to a conclusion as well. And then for the Lake Street Drainage Improvements Project, they are north of Hemlock installing the stormwater chambers. That's pretty much all the information I have right now. I know there have been complaints on Henry Street, but the contractor is working with the city on resolving those complaints. And that's all I have. Well, I have talked with the Director of Engineering regarding some of the older cave-in status, and I think the decision has been made that we're going to rescind those contracts and put those back out to bid. AMETS was had those contracts.
On the Lake Street drainage,
Yes.
completion by November, contract invoice, shouldn't we have invoiced, we have more invoices than what we're showing there?
I think there's been 4 invoices, and they have been processed. I'll double check that. I'll make sure the amount is correct.
Okay. And the 808 35th Avenue, that's not going to get done, is it?
We're going to rescind that contract, rescind that contract with AMETS and put it back out to bid and get with the water company. And
Okay. And then you've
Retire
got
that.
the one on Melton Street, what are you going to do with that? Melton Road. That goes back to 2019.
right, that was part of a larger project to line certain sewers, and that one couldn't get completed, and the lining company who did that got bought out, I believe, and I was working with someone to get that completed, and it just.
You have to
get
put that
back-
back out for bid?
Yeah, we can either rescind it and put it back out to bid, or just follow up with the contractor, make sure.
Does work still need to be done?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So,
For the grid improvement project with the liquidated damages, this is a project that we paid up front for, right, with Army Corps of Engineers? And then they take those funds and actually disperse it, depending on verification of work?
Mm-hmm.
So are we expecting any money back, or?
Yeah, I'll need to give it to the Army Corps of Engineers, but I believe we are going to get a portion of that back.
Okay,
yeah, because the work is done, right?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay, so there's a difference between 35 and 29, is that what's being considered for liquidated damage?
So we got a question about the difference between the last invoice and the contract amount. So the difference in its entirety, is that what's being disputed?
I don't get to see the invoices, they don't come to me, so
Okay.
I base these amounts off the progress meetings, and this is probably what was shown on the last progress meeting they had, so
So, I mean, there is a chance that this project came in under budget.
I doubt that.
Good little-
Not with these contractors.
All right, that's,
But there is the chance of that.
yeah. That's all that I had. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Tuck? Okay, all right, thank you so much. Next, we have American Structure Point.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am going to give an update on a couple of our design projects that we have in progress. First is the Ambridge Man Sewer Rehabilitation Project. If you recall, that is the compilation of two different projects that were completed a couple years ago, Horace Mann and Ambridge, and not everything could be funded, so the remnants were taken and then put together in one project that hopefully will be funded by the Army Corps. So that's under design right now. So we've got a meeting with Cola and Eric on Friday to discuss and just make sure that all those parts and pieces that we're going to launch into design on haven't been done already by others in the 2 years that has elapsed. We've also completed a preliminary cost estimate. We're working on utility coordination. There's an engineering and design during construction document that's required by the Army Corps. That's 80% completed, and our specs are 20% completed. And then an update regarding the 27th and Chase Force Main design, Phase 3. We've got the plans in progress. We have markups that have been sent to our drafters. They're going to be preparing those. We've got good direction on where we want to go. We're 35% complete with our specs, and we are proceeding with the structural design for the connection to the existing structure at 19. And that's my update. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions?
I have none.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next brings us to discussion. Are there any items or topics that need to be discussed? Okay, hearing none, are there any requests to speak?
Yes, we have one, Mr. Jim Martin.
Commissioners, I have some handouts for you. Sure. You want to take a look at what I'm talking about here?
That's Attorney Jim Martin, is that right? Correct. Okay, you got exhibits.
I only had 15 minutes to prepare. Okay, my name is Jim Martin. My wife and I bought the house at 8307 Lakeshore Drive in April of 1992, so we've owned it for 32 years. We tore that house down, and we're currently building another house in its place. And I'm here today to request a sewer tap alternative. And forgive me if my language is incorrect for the situation, because I don't know a lot about sewers. So our problem is that Lakeshore Drive at that point is a very high level, and the depth from the street to the main is 23 feet. And we've already had root problems over the years. In fact, 3 years ago, LGS Plumbing was out there with cameras running down there, and we've got a ton of roots at the tap. And they spent 3 days drilling and were able to secure a 1-inch hole and told us to fill our bathtubs and tubs and flush them all at the same time to keep that clear. And now, since the house is being torn down, we haven't been able to pour any root X down there for over a year. So those roots are probably getting worse. So there's roots at the tap. They've been there for a long time. The other issue is the 23 feet deep. We've been working with LGS, Adam Smith in particular. I've been talking to him quite a bit. And he says that if he has to go down that far to get to that main, that he needs a whole, by the way, one of those documents is an email I sent to Eric yesterday summarizing all this. It gets most of the points in. And the other is a GIS thing I just printed off to show you where our house is and the house next to us. Anyways, Adam Smith has indicated that to get down that deep, he's got to go 23 feet wide, or he's got to use trench boxes, but in any event, he's going to have to take out the retaining wall of my neighbor to my south, Bob Farrick. He lives on the corner of St. Joseph Street and Lakeshore Drive. And my guess is that really big tree that's probably causing a root problem is going to die too, because all those roots are going straight down right there. It's like, it's less than 10 feet from his retaining wall to this tree that's about 4 feet across. And so that problem is an expensive one to begin with, but it's also a difficult one. And LGS has suggested that we use an alternative means of handling the sewer tap to our house. They have suggested, and we want to request, and we understand that we have to apply for permits and do whatever is necessary paperwork-wise, but they're asking if we can run a sewer out of our house about 8 feet deep, go around our garage and westward through our driveway, not in the street, and through the neighbor's driveway, and I'll get to that. And then there happens to be a manhole right there at the corner. And so to go through the two lots and then go into the manhole. The neighbor next door is also going to be tearing down his house, and he needs the same treatment. He's going to be about 22 to 20, maybe 21, 22 feet deep. He's also got clay tiles that have roots in them. So he is on board. I've spoken with him. I've put his contact information in there if you need to verify. But he's on board with also running a tap at the same time, so the same process doesn't have to be performed twice. Parallel sewer lines could be run across our driveways and into that manhole. And I think Adam used the term drop something. It's in there, it drops into the manhole. Anyways, the advantage of doing that is we don't have to tear up the street. Lakeshore Drive was just paved last year, and all those new water lines were put in, and so that would be disrupted in the process. That's what LGS is trying to avoid. So we avoid, by using this system or this methodology, we avoid going on the public street and tearing it up. We stay on our property. Any sewer problems in the future will be our problems. We understand that. Jerry Trajanic next door, the neighbor, he's willing to give me any easement documents that are necessary to go through his driveway. And so that's why I'm here today, is to start the process to create a line around our house, through our driveways, and into that manhole. And so I'm kind of going quick here and summarizing. It's a little more detail in that email. If you have any questions, I'm certainly open to them with my limited knowledge. Yes?
Did you say if you can't go to the manhole, you got to tear down Farrick's wall?
A good portion of it, yeah.
Did you talk to him about that?
Yes. So,
He's probably not too happy about that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we have to tear down the whole wall, but at least, from the corner, probably, I don't know how many feet you have to go when you're tearing all that up, because you're going from if you have to tear up the street 80 feet to the manhole, then you're tearing up at least 80, well, not, his wall doesn't go all the way to the corner, so I'm going to say 60 feet of his wall, I'm just guessing. And so then you have to replace it, and that means, I'm just surmising, we might have to replace his whole wall, because I doubt we can find the same brick he used. And he's not going to want a two-color wall. And Bob, so the last person you want to irritate is Bob.
We've done sewer to manholes before, so I don't see why it would be a problem.
Yes, yeah.
It seems
LGS has told me that they've done it several times for the city.
It seems financially more feasible than the alternative. Then you get the bang of two, because both of you would be running to the sewer and get it out of the way now.
At the same time, yeah.
Both are constructing new homes?
Right, and then Jerry and I will work out the expenses of going across our driveways. Obviously, I'll bear most of it, but, he should get a little bit of it, because he's getting the same
You're
hole.
gonna pay your taxes, the big high taxes, right?
I always have.
Because it's expensive over there.
I know, and with that trending thing that just went through this past spring, they're going up. Yeah.
Might as well live in Chicago.
There was two trendings in a row, both years, 22 and 23 got trended, because they can do it, I don't want to get into that, but yeah.
I understand. You got my vote for the man.
What's his time?
Okay.
What's his time? I'm familiar with it, Mr. Martin. I walk that way every day.
Yes.
And I do know what's going on with your house. I've watched the
Yeah,
down as well as
about
the
7 or 8 years ago, a hole was dug right in front of our house, about, I'm going to say 8 by 8, right in front of our house. I looked down there, and that main is way down there. It's a deep hole. I don't know what they were doing, but they fixed something on the
Well,
main.
you would have my vote, too.
What's your time period?
We're about halfway done with the house, so the windows are in, the doors
So
are
you
in.
haven't got the sewer started yet?
No, so the
When you do-
plumbing's going in, the electrical's going in, the HVAC's going in, kind of all at the same time. And I think they're delaying some of that stuff because the sewer's not connected. I can't give you a percentage of completion, but we're under roof and we have windows and doors. And there's some electric and there's some plumbing.
Okay, so it sounds like you've given this information to staff already and yesterday. So I guess at this time, they'll just take this under review. Do we have some type of time frame that we can get back with the gentleman?
Are you asking me?
No, I was
Oh,
asking.
sorry.
Staff.
Because I want to review, take a look at what he's saying and what he's trying to do, and I will work with him, let him know what he needs to do.
Okay.
It sounds good, Mr. Cole.
Yeah.
We need new houses. We need
Not only that,
that
you
tax money.
go sit on the beach while you're out there. And start smiling again.
Make Bob Farrick happy, too.
Well, he has expressed a bit of concern about me tearing down his wall, so.
Expressed a lot of concern
You know, he
about
sits
your
up on
building
that perch
house.
every day.
And he could always tell you no,
Hey, Commissioner.
and that would really kill you.
Well, then, then we don't have a tap. Yeah, because I guess he could, he's a private citizen, he could say, you're not tearing up my wall. I think he would allow it, but he wouldn't like it.
Yeah, he didn't like your building the house either. You blocked his view.
That's true, yeah, because you're on that board too, yeah.
So at the conclusion of the meetings, we'll just have staff connect with you.
Okay.
So we can, get a solution going, okay?
Okay, thank you for considering my request.
Thank you,
Thank
Attorney
you.
Martin. Good to see you.
Do we have any other requests to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, so at this time, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Go second, Mr. Chair.
All right, meeting adjourned. Get right into it. For the Gary Stormwater Management District meeting, today's Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. Can we please have a roll call to establish quorum?
Director William Allen.
Present.
Director Ola Morris. Director Maurice Mabon.
Present.
Director Darnell Lyles. Director William Cook.
Present.
Attorney Jewel Harris Jr.
Present.
Interim Executive Director Brenda Scott
Present.
Henry. Finance Manager Jerome Foster.
Present.
And that's the end of roll call?
With all present, we have a quorum. Moving on to minutes.
Certification, no certification.
Yeah, no certification because the executive meeting did not pertain to stormwater. So what is the pleasure of the minutes?
Make a motion, Mr. Chair, to accept the regular meeting minutes of August 19, 1924.
Second.
I'm 2024.
I second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes for August 19th, 2024. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Director Cook.
Yes.
Director Lyles.
Yes.
Director Mabon.
Yes.
Director Morris.
Yes.
Director Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
With 5 ayes and 0 noes, the minutes have been approved. Moving on to new business, we have 2.1. Mr. Foster?
Thank you. Make a motion to approve and ratify GSWMD payroll earnings for period ending July 29, 2024 through August 11, 2024 in the amount of $7,190.25.
After hearing the overview and recommendation for 2.1 payroll, what is the pleasure of the board?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second for 2.1. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please, for 2.1.
Director Cook?
Yes.
Director Lyles? Director Maybon?
Yes.
Director Morris?
Yes.
Director Allen?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
With 5 ayes and 0 noes, payroll has been approved. Moving on to 2.2.
2.2 is a motion to approve a grant agreement between the Gary Stormwater Management District and the Indiana Finance Authority for the participation in the Water Infrastructure Grant Program. This grant was on the agenda before we pulled it, and then I got a phone call from IFA indicating that they needed to have it approved, and this is for our US 20 Complete Street project, and that amount is $3.262 million.
I'm a little confused here. Is this the one that goes back to, that had structured point involvement?
Yes, yes, this is the one that goes back there. We approved the project, we approved the contracts, but we never approved the grant agreement.
I just have one question on this. Were they instrumental in us getting this grant? Do you know?
Yes. Most of our, Structure Point or CDM Smith are the two engineering firms that prepares our application submittals to Indiana Finance Authority to receive funding.
So the work that they did on the grant, they're not going to be a part of this, correct?
They have been, a significant amount. Actually, we've already paid them over $500,000 because there were some there are some
we've already
additional
paid
match,
them for this.
yes,
Oh, okay.
requirements associated with
They
this
did the
grant.
preliminary engineering work. for
Yep.
the project. Do we have any other questions? For 2.2, I got an amount of $3,262,500.
Yes.
What is the pleasure of the board for approval?
Move for passage.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second for 2.2. Any discussion?
Yeah, this work's not going to be done this year, is it?
Completed this year?
Started or?
Started, done.
It could be started, but
It
yeah,
could be
not
started,
done.
probably
Not
not
done.
completed.
So is it going to be started this year?
Yes, we've had the kickoff meeting. We've had the kickoff pre-construction meeting.
Okay.
Roll call, please, for 2.2.
Director Cook?
Yes.
Director Lyles?
Yeah.
Director Maybon?
Yes.
Director Morris?
Yes.
Director Allen?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
With 5 ayes and 0 noes, 2.2 has been approved. Moving on to claims, we have 3.1, Mr. Foster.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve and ratify GSWMD claim numbers 127 through 135 in the amount of $2,475.43.
What is the pleasure of the board for 3.1?
Move for passage.
Is there a second?
A second, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Director Cook?
Yes.
Director Lyles?
Yes.
Director Maybon?
Yes.
Director Morris?
Yes.
Director Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
With 5 ayes and 0 noes, claims have been approved. Next, we have information updates. We have MS4 updates.
Yes, on last night at the council meeting, the stormwater ordinance number, we have a number now, so 2024-43 went before the council. It was assigned into the planning committee, subcommittee. The next meeting is scheduled for September 9th at 6 PM, and we will be there. We are preparing a fact sheet to have a simpler version of what we will present to the public at that time. And we also share that information with you. If you have an opportunity to view it online, please do so. Support us. That's all I have for information updates. You have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to American Structure Point.
Good afternoon, Board. John Tucker, American Structure Point, here for a Lake Street Stormwater Improvement Project update. Since the last meeting, Lake Street has been closed between Hemlock and Forest Court. They began demo and storm sewer work. Currently, they are doing the chamber installation. It is the biggest and deepest one we have right now, so there's a lot of work happening in that short block. The next couple of weeks, we'll continue with the storm sewer work, the chambers, and then the rest of the storm sewer work leading into the roadway dig out there for that closure. That is all we have going on right now, so if there's any questions regarding that project, I'd be happy to answer.
Do you have any questions for American Structure Point? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have Robinson Engineering.
Good afternoon, Ron Smith with Robinson Engineering. Just a couple of quick updates. The bridge project is 99% completed. There will be a punch list walkthrough the week of September 16th. I will give you the exact date and time for that so that staff can be available. An update on the CCMG project, that is the resurfacing project for the city of Gary. Just want to update the Stormwater Management District that they are currently working on Massachusetts Street from Ridge Road to 46th Avenue. And also they will be milling on Central from Martin Luther King Jr. Drive to Interstate 94. So that way, in case there's some calls or complaints or anything, they're out there doing work on that. And again, any type of stormwater structure improvements will be handled by the contractor. I will entertain any questions that the directors may have at this time.
Do you have any questions for Robinson?
No, we're gonna let him slide.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Next, we have discussion. Are there any items or topics that need to be discussed at this time? Okay, hearing none. Are there any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, is there a motion for adjournment? Is there a second?